Hey friends, it is Jenna, what is up, and welcome back to the Board Game Garden, and welcome to yet another monthly wrap-up. Yes, I know, I just uploaded the July ones, and that's because the July ones were very, very far behind, and I want to get caught back up with these, because these are some of my favorite videos to film. I know a lot of you also love them, where I just go over all of the games that I have been playing and give you a quick little overview and my thoughts on each of them. So I'm very excited to get into this one. I have all the board games in front of me. Typically I don't do that. I started like just putting the pictures up beside me, but that turns out to be a lot of time that it takes to do that. Don't know if that sentence made any sense, but it takes a lot of time to go to Board Game Geek and do all the pictures and then put them up here and all those things. So figured it would be a little bit easier for me to get all of the games that I do have physically here so I can show you, and then any of the ones that I do not have physically, I will put up here as a picture. So yes. That is everything. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. I will also mention that I only played 3 games solo in the month of August, so I think for this month I actually am going to put them together. This is just going to be all the multiplayer games, all of the solo games that I played in August. So if you guys want to see that, then just keep on watching. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoy. Hit that subscribe button down below if you've yet to do so. We'd love to have you here in the garden. And comment down below all of the games or some of the games that you enjoyed playing in August, whether that was multiplayer games, solo games, I would love to know. And also just a reminder, the Board Game Garden monthly focus, solo monthly focus for September is still Hadrian's Wall. So expect a few different live streams from me. I think I might do some live streams of me playing Hadrian's Wall. I'm going to play through the solo campaign if I have time. Hopefully I do. So yeah, definitely check that out. It'll either be here on YouTube or over on Twitch. So anyways, let's get into this monthly wrap-up, shall we? All right, so I always start this video off with my stats for the month, which my stats for this month, again, has went up even more. August was an insane month for board gaming. I went to Gen Con. I had a bunch of different board game nights in between Gen Con, and then I went to Nashville as well as Arkansas, and all of those trips were board game related, so you best believe I played a ton of board games with a ton of people, which was really, really awesome. I got to meet a ton of new people this month. It was just such an amazing month and so like inspiring. I hung out with so many people that I look up to and motivate me in the industry and in the board game space. So it was just such a good month, not even just for the games, but for the people. So yes, I definitely played a lot more multiplayer games than I did solo. Like I said, I only played 3 solo, but for the month of August, I always use BG Stats. If you guys do not know, this is what the app looks like if you want to go check it out. But anyways, moving into the stats for August, I had a total of 61 plays, so that has been the most. I think last month was like 54 or something like that, so went up again, which is crazy to me. 51 different games, and then 36 of them were new to me, which is crazy. I don't know how I continuously learn new games like this. It's pretty freaking awesome. So yeah, 36, sorry, new to me games. And then as for BGA plays, I played a little bit more this month than I did last month. I played a total of 12 plays, still a lot less than I used to, which I want to get back to playing more BGA games. But the games that I played on BGA this month were Decrypto, Canvas I played a few times, Arc Nova I played a few times, Patchwork, Welcome to, Lost Ruins of Arnak, which I will say right now, I beat Alex at Board Game Co. in Lost Ruins of Arnak, so I feel pretty good about myself there. Sorry, Alex. But I also played Wizards of the Grimoire 4 or 5 times on BGA. I am obsessed with the Wizards of Grimoire, or Wizards of the Grimoire. Absolutely obsessed with that game. I did not play it physically in August, but I definitely played it a ton on a BGA. So that is everything for my board game stats. We are going to quickly get into all these games. Like I said, I have 61 plays or something like that, which is insane. So I'm going to try to go through all of these as quick as possible. If I've talked about a game before, I will quickly just mention it and we will move on. But for the most part, I'm gonna try to get through these pretty quick. Apologies if this video is pretty long, but I always do love to chat about board games. So let's get into all of the physical plays in August, shall we? All right, so starting off with the beginning of August, that was when I went to Gen Con, and the first game that I actually played at Gen Con was one from Third World Studios. If you guys do not know, I worked for the Third World Studios booth, and we had a little like get together. We went out for dinner the day before Gen Con started, and we had dinner, and then we went back to the hotel and we played a few of their games. So I ended up getting to play a game of the Stuff of Legend, which is a cooperative game, but it has a hidden traitor, which I'm typically not into the whole hidden traitor thing. And fortunately in this one, I was not the hidden traitor. I was one of the good people, even though a lot of people in the game went after me thinking that I was the traitor, but I was definitely not. Basically, you are playing as one of the little boy's toys. The little boy has been taken by the boogeyman, and you are one of his toys come alive to try to save him. And you're all working together for the most part, but there might be one or two people working against you and working with the boogeyman or on the boogeyman side. So it's very fun. You're working through this map, deciding which direction you guys want to go, defeating some monsters, different thing like that. And then you're also trying to find a specific numbered door in order to get out and save the boy. So ultimately you're trying to find the highest numbered door. There are 4 randomly chosen and put out onto the map, and then you're trying to find the highest one of the 4 by flipping over cards and then flipping over the doors in order to find the one that you want to go out. So yes, absolutely fantastic game. This is the Boogeyman edition. I did take the little like cover off of it because I like this cover a little bit better. I do want to play this again because I absolutely loved it. The minis are spectacular, the production of the game is gorgeous, and oh my goodness, it is heavy. Overall, I really enjoyed that one, but I will say that if I was the traitor, I don't know if I would have enjoyed it as much, just because I don't prefer being a traitor. I don't prefer like lying and having to kind of talk my way out of things. I'm not great with that. I'm not good at lying. My poker face is awful. So I think if I was the traitor, I probably wouldn't have liked the game as much as I did. But I really enjoyed being on the boys' side and trying to figure out who was the traitor. So that is the Stuff of Legend. And then I also got a chance to play Third World Studios' newest game that is coming to Kickstarter sometime in the fall, and that is Charcuterie the board game. I ended up playing this. I actually demoed this a little bit as well during Gen Con, and I am so excited for this one. I think it's going to be absolutely amazing. It is all about being a guest at a party and bringing the best charcuterie board, and there's a little bit of this like spatial, a little bit of almost not so dexterity, but placing things inside your or on your charcuterie board in specific ways in order to score victory points. There's a bunch of different public objectives that you're going for, as well as you have your own private objective, and you're just placing the specific things in specific spots in specific arrangements. I've said specific many, many times and it's starting to sound weird, but to score different points in different ways. I think it's fantastic. Very chill. I love the theme of the charcuterie boards. I'm a huge fan of charcuterie boards, so I really enjoyed that one. So that is Charcuterie the board game. The next day, I didn't do a lot of gaming during the day, but I did have the opportunity to play Root for the first time, which Root has never been one that I have like gravitated towards. It always has sounded very scary to me, very combat oriented, so it's never been one that I've gravitated towards, but Sam from Lore the Board offered to teach it, and I figured Sam would be the perfect person to teach it. I have been wanting to try it, even though I'm not super gravitated towards it. Everybody's saying how amazing it is. I was like, sure, let's try it. I have the perfect opportunity right now to play it with Sam from Lord of the Board, as well as Tim Chewin. And then we also played with Meeple Conrad, which he was absolutely wonderful as well. And we played a 4-player game of Root in the stadium of Gen Con, and it was so much fun. I regret saying that I regret not playing Root for so long because I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much that I downloaded the digital app of Root on my phone, so I've been playing it there. The only thing right now is the only faction that I know is the Vagabond. That is the only one that I have played thus far. I have played the cats, but I didn't really understand like a ton of what was going on, but I really enjoyed playing the Vagabond. It's very fun. You're kind of just being sneaky and crafting things, and I really enjoyed it. So that is Root. Absolutely love that. The next day of Gen Con, I actually got the opportunity to demo a game coming from Cardboard Alchemy as well as Lucky Duck Games, and that is Critter Kitchen. So this one I was like scheduled to play a game of this with Peter Vaughn. He is, I believe, the owner of Cardboard Alchemy, and he taught us Critter Kitchens. It was me, Alex from Board Game Co., Meg, Professor Meg, as well as Amy and Maggie from Thinker Themer. We played a big 5-player game of that, and I think this is kind of a crazy thing to say. I really, really love Flamecraft, but I think I might have enjoyed Critter Kitchen even more than I enjoyed Flamecraft. It has similar vibes to it, but there's something just a little bit more about Critter Kitchens. It has a little bit more strategy, not so straightforward. I think that Flamecraft ended up being a little bit too simple, which I really like because a lot of people can play that game and it's very open to newer players. So I really like that about Flamecraft, but I think me being a not seasoned gamer, but someone that plays games quite a bit, I really enjoyed the extra little bit of strategy there. Basically, you have 3 different little chefs. You have the smallest, medium, and largest chefs, and you are going to be simultaneously and secretly choosing where each of your chefs is going to go. Depending on where you go, there's going to be different food items in each of those places, depending on what little chef you put there. It depends on when you are able to go and when you're able to grab those different food items, and then you're trying to create dishes of the best qualities. There's different food items of different qualities. So there could be like a 7 wine or a 5 meat or a 6 cheese, so on and so forth. So throughout the rounds you are creating dishes, but then ultimately at the end of the game you have this like ultimate chef guy that is coming and judging your last large plated meal, I guess. So you want to keep all of your best ones for the end, and I guess you can do a bit of both. Cooking the dishes throughout the game and then having that last plate. I really focused on my last plate and I almost won. I think Alex from Board Game Co., he like beat me by like a few points, and yeah. Anyways, really, really enjoyed Critter Kitchens. I'm very, very excited for it to come to crowdfunding. I'm not 100% sure what crowdfunding spot it's going to, probably Kickstarter. But yeah, very excited for that one. And then I believe that night we played Dwellings of Eldervale, which I do have it here. I don't know why I decided to bring it here because it's ginormous. But yes, we played Dwellings of Eldervale. Tim Chuin, he brought Dwellings of Eldervale to Gen Con to play with me, so it was so, so nice to finally get to play Dwellings of Eldervale with Tim. It is, I believe, still his like favorite game of all time. It is close for me as well. I really enjoy Dwellings of Eldervale, so I was really happy to play that with him. I also got to play that with a few other people, Kirk Dennison from Thunderworks Games, Sam from Lord of the Board, as well as Brendan, I believe, from All Aboard Gamer, so that was a fun one as well. And that was everything for Gen Con. Moving on to when I got home, Francis and I live streamed. We actually live streamed playing Planet Unknown. This is one that Francis and I have been wanting for a very long time. Francis actually ordered it shortly before I went to Gen Con, and it ended up getting delivered at our place while I was at Gen Con. So right when I got home, I'm like, Francis, we need to play Planet Unknown. So we played this together, 2-player on stream, which I believe it is now up on the Board Game Garden TV if you guys want to go check that out. I will put it up here if it is, but we did that. And then we also played this 6 players or 5 players with his family as well, which they really enjoyed. So that is Planet Unknown. Such a fantastic game. It is a little bit difficult to get right now, but they did have a Kickstarter for it, so I feel like it'll be a little bit more readily available after that. But we fortunately found a random copy at some British Columbia game store. So that was pretty awesome. All right, so moving into one of my Board Game Gals game nights. If you guys do not know, I go to a local cafe every other Wednesday to play with a bunch of Board Game Gals locally in my town. And this was a day where I don't think there was a theme, we just brought a bunch of games. I brought a few that I got at Gen Con, so I did bring Point City. I played this with a few of the ladies, and I already know that I like this one more than Point Salad. I do want to play this with Francis because I think he would enjoy this one. Francis does not like Point Salad, so I'm excited to see what he thinks about Point City. It is a little bit more strategic and a little bit more going on than Point Salad, so I think this one will be a good one for him to try. Really enjoyed this one. I'm not going to explain it too much, but I think a lot of people are getting this now from the Kickstarter, so it is a good one if you like that kind of Point Salad feel of grabbing the different cards and getting the different, in this one you get like tokens instead of point cards, so you get point tokens, and you're gathering different buildings that give you permanent resources in order to get more buildings, so there's that really nice engine building feel to it. A little bit similar to like Splendor in a way, but I really enjoyed that one. You're like drafting from a big grid of cards. So that is Point City. We also played Dice Miner, which I do not have Dice Miner personally, but it is definitely one that I would consider getting in my collection. I really enjoyed it. It is all about drafting dice and then rolling those dice to get different points in different ways. You can get negative points, but then you can also get dice that mitigate those negative points and make them positive, and you can like roll beer dice to other people in order to, I believe, gain more dice or be able to draft more dice from this little mountain thing. I think it's a good one to have for those players in your life that aren't super into board games, but just want something a little bit strategic and super fun and different. I think that Dice Miner handles that really well, so enjoyed that one. And then I believe we also played a game called Rainbow Pirates, which I just recently today saw this at one of like the big box stores. Rainbow Pirates was cute. It was very cute. It was like a card game where you were trying to get a, I think 2 rainbows. So you're trying to play down the different colored cards, and people can also play black cards that get rid of your cards, and they can like take cards out of your rainbow, and the first player to get 2 full rainbows of cards out in front of them is the winner, and I enjoyed it. It was very cute. It's definitely a card game that I would consider getting in the collection just because it's easy to teach, easy to play, and I think that it would be really good for like my niece and my nephew and stuff like that. So that was Rainbow Pirates, and then we finished off the night with this game right here, which is Cat in the Box. I enjoyed this one so much. We actually only played like a half a game because we only had like a half an hour left until the cafe closed. But Cat in the Box I actually purchased at Gen Con, and it is a trick-taking game where all of the cards are suitless and you are applying suits to them as you play them out. And you're trying to put your little chips onto the board in the different suit spots in order to connect them, in order to gain more victory points. You have to kind of estimate how many tricks you can win at the beginning. If you guess correctly with that, then you get extra points for all of the connections that you have on the main board. And I just think it gives this really cool kind of variant on trick taking. It kind of turns it or spins it on its head and gives you some interesting things to think about. So that is Cat in the Box. Really enjoyed that one, and I know that they just recently came out with like, or introduced or released a like colossal edition. It's like bigger, which I think is very cool. But yes, that was our little Board Game Gals night that night. I then went over to my friend Daryl's house. I believe we actually went over the next day and we played a few different games. The first one, I actually don't have any of these anymore. So the first one is Wandering Towers. This is one from Capstone Games, which I saw it and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like I would love to try that. But when I played this, guys, this is a fun game. Basically, you have these meeples. You're trying to get your meeples all the way around into the like black tower first. So you're trying to get, I believe each person has 2 or 3 meeples, and you're trying to go all the way around this circle and get your meeples into the black tower first. I believe the person that first does that is the winner, and the towers can be moved on top of the meeples. So there's this little bit of like memory of where your meeples are if they end up getting covered up by a tower, and you are playing cards down in order to either move your meeples or move the towers, and it's so much fun. The puzzle of trying to figure out how to play down your cards in order to get your meeples out and into the tower, but also at the same time, if your meeples are covered by towers, you have to like move the towers in order to find your meeples, and sometimes you just lose track of your meeples, and it is a fantastic game. So that's definitely one that I am considering purchasing and getting in the collection. I think it'd be a fun one to play with my family. I believe it plays up to 6 players, which is awesome. So yes, absolutely loved Wandering Towers. We also played a game called Trash Talk, which is like Trash Pandas. It's this party game where basically you have a bunch of different random items and you are putting out cards, and the active player has a little like shield with the same items and the cards, and they are applying or putting one item for each of the cards to kind of connect the item to the card, the word on the card, and then everyone else has to guess what item they put to what card. It's very fun. The items that you get in it are like super random. There's like a slinky, there's a paper clip, there's a little plant, there's a little car, the most random little items, and you're just like applying those items to words on cards, and it is just fantastic. I think it is a newer game that isn't quite out yet, but I'm excited to possibly get that in the collection. I think it's a fun, different party game. And then lastly, or actually it might not be lastly. Oh, maybe it is, because I think we might have went to Daryl's 2 days that week. But lastly, for that night, we played a game called Sea of Strife, which this reminds me that I literally that night went to order it because I want this game in my collection. It is another trick-taking game, but it's a little bit different where you are trying to lose your tricks. You are trying to lose or win the least amount of tricks. I think it's actually whoever gets 15 tricks or wins 15 tricks first triggers the end of the game, and I think it's whoever has the least amount is the winner. So, and then also there's this little bit of a different thing, which I don't quite remember it, but I remember really enjoying this, where if you don't have the suit, there's like a ton of suits. I think there is like 10 different suits or something. If you don't have the suit that was played, you can play another suit, and if another person plays the same suit as you, it's whatever suit is higher, if that makes sense. So each suit is an increment of 10 or so. So one suit will be like 1 to 11, 12 to 20, so on, 21, so on and so forth. So you are trying to lose the tricks overall, and trick-taking games are so hard to explain, but it's very good, trust me. Sea of Strife, definitely go and try it. Enjoyed it very, very much, and it's one that immediately after we played it that one time, I was like, I need this right now. So I almost purchased the one from Daryl because he had an extra copy or two. So I almost purchased it from him. I wish I did, but I will probably just purchase it off of Board Game Bliss after I finish this video. So that is that. And then the board game day after that at Daryl's house, I played 3 different games. The first one was Mycelia, which is one that is coming to Kickstarter very soon. I believe Mycelia is going to be up on Kickstarter on September 7th, and I will have a preview video of that one up. Definitely go and check it out. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I will have that video up explaining that. But it's a game all about mushrooms, and that is it. I don't want to talk too much. And then I also played a 2-player game of Gap with my friend Aiden. We played this one for the first time. This is one that I was gifted by Arcane Wonders, so a huge thank you to them, at Gen Con. And this one is actually a huge surprise to me. I really enjoyed this one. It's all about having the biggest gap between the groups of colors that you have at the end of the round. So if you have 4 blues and 1 green, the difference between the two is 3, so you're gonna get 3 victory points, and after multiple rounds, whoever gets to 15 victory points first is the winner. It plays up to 6 people, and it's a very simple card game, but it's just so much fun. Basically, you have a hand of, I think, 6 different cards, and you're playing down a card in front of you. If you have any of the matching number in the little tableau in the center, you're going to take those and put them in front of you. If you have a card that also in the center has one above or one below that number, you're going to take those. And then if there's nothing of the same or above and below in the center, you just place a card in the center. That's kind of how you're gaining cards into your tableau. And then, like I said, whoever has, or whatever your number is, your gap between your most and your least is the amount of victory points that you get. And it does like multiply. If you have 2 groups of 4, then your most is 8. If you have 2 groups of 1 as your least, it's 2. So on and so forth. Very, very fun, easy to get to the table, easy to teach card game. I definitely recommend that one. And then lastly, for that night at Daryl's, we played Junk Art, which Junk Art has been a dexterity game that I've wanted to play for so long. I believe it's actually on one of my like yearly challenges, so that is awesome. I'm gonna have to go and check that off of that challenge, but I really enjoyed Junk Art. It is a dexterity game where actually there's a little bit more to it than I thought there was. I thought you were just flipping over a card and building this tower, but there's actually like different cities that you're going to be playing with, and each of the cities has a different set of rules and a different goal that you're trying to achieve. They all have similar gameplay where you are flipping over a card and grabbing whatever shape that is and adding it to your little sculpture, but there's different rules and different small things that change between these cities. So really enjoyed Junk Art. It was a fun one and an older game, older dexterity game that I've been really wanting to try. All right, so next up, moving on to a very exciting board game day that I had finally. My friends Kat and Steph and I were trying to plan out this themed board game day for so long, and we finally were able to make a day work, and both of them came over here and we had a like Japanese themed board game day, which I think was so much fun, and we are actually planning our next one for this coming Monday, so super pumped. But the first game that we got to the table was Oh Hanami. I've talked about Oh Hanami countless amounts of times. This is probably one of my favorite card games, which, speaking of card games, I think I want to do like my top 10 card games at some point, because I'm definitely getting a lot more into like smaller card games these days. And I think Oh Hanami will definitely be on that top 10. It is a fantastic closed drafting game where you are trying to make 3 gardens of ascending/descending numbers, and you're scoring for the different colors of numbers that you're placing into your gardens. And I just love Oh Hanami so much. It's so relaxing, but yet still strategic in different ways. I absolutely love that one. So we played that. We then played Honshu, which is a like tile game. It's not really actually tiles. They're cards that you're placing and overlapping in different ways in order to create this tableau, and you have these like different cubes that you're transferring to other cards, and I actually really enjoyed this one. This again is another one that I would love to add to the collection because I really enjoyed it. There's a little bit of like a, not so much bidding, but each of the cards that you play out is going to have a number, and that's going to determine what your player order is. So you might actually play a card out that you don't want that has a lower number on it. So you might play a card that has a 2. So that actually means that you're going to get first choice of the cards that were played out by other players. So it's this interesting thing. A lot of the times we ended up just wanting the card that we played out, but sometimes people played out a card that they didn't actually want and then took someone else's card. So I thought that was pretty cool. So we played Honshu. We then played Gap again, like I mentioned. And then we got into a bigger game called Bamboo. So Bamboo is one of the like smaller box, bigger game games by Devere, which I loved so much. Again, I think Bamboo is another one that I want to add to the collection. It's bad when I play these games and I want them all. So yes, Bamboo is definitely one that I would love to get into the collection. You're playing as a family and you're getting like different home decor and working on your like feng shui in your house. And there's this really cool, like, you get these little bamboo things that have different actions on them, and you're sliding them in and then taking the different actions based off of the bamboo that you get. And you're also like placing these little like longer pieces. Sorry, the computer just made a funny noise. You're putting these longer pieces into different spots, and whoever has the most of those pieces in specific spots is going to gain that little like helper, and there's just a bunch of little things going on, but I absolutely loved it, especially like the feng shui and like the balance was very, very fun with the different tiles and stuff. So bamboo is, again, one that I want to try. I have a few other ones from De Beer that I'm excited to try. I have the Red Cathedral, I have the White Castle that I'm super pumped to get to the tables. So yes, De Beer just makes some great frickin' games. I will be talking about another one shortly, but yeah. Good job, De Beer. You're making some great games. Next up, we played Tiger and Dragon. This is another one that I purchased from Gen Con, which I was not expecting to purchase this at Gen Con. I think Jamie and I were just walking around and we went to the Oink booth, and I knew that this was one of the like more hyped ones from Oink. It was their like new release for Gen Con. Jamie purchased it and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get it too. It sounds very fun. And this was probably the like biggest surprise of the month for me. I enjoy this so much. We actually played this, or I played it quite a few times in August. I'll get to the other time that I played it later, but this is a very simple game overall. Basically, you're just playing out mahjong tiles of different numbers. You can say, I'm going to attack with a 7, and then whoever is next in turn order says, I will defend with a 7. If they don't have a 7, they have to say pass, and it's just going to go around. If someone can defend with a 7, then they attack with another number and start that over again. If it ever gets around to you again and no one's able to defend with a number that you played, you're able to place one of your mahjong tiles face down, and you're trying to get all of your mahjong tiles played, and then the last one that you have played is the one that you're going to be scoring in different ways. So you're trying to play out your mahjong tiles in a certain order in order to keep one till the end that's going to score you the most. So that is Tiger and Dragon. It sounds like a very simple game, but the strategy in it is just so cool. And it's so funny because if you're just standing there watching people play Tiger and Dragon, I think it's the funniest thing, because literally you're going around the table being like, I'm going to attack with a 7. And then the next person's like, I'm going to defend with a 7. I'm going to attack with a 5. It just keeps on going around. So funny to watch, but so fun to play. I really, really enjoyed that one. So that is Tiger and Dragon. We then played a few smaller games. The first one being Gasha. This is one that I did receive for review by 25th Century Games, and I enjoyed this one so much. It really makes you feel like you're playing those Gasha machines in Japan. I've never played any of those, but I've definitely played like gacha games. I've played Genshin Impact, and just that whole like wanting certain things to come out feeling is just so addicting. So this is exactly what that is. You're trying to get certain things, you're pulling from different piles in hopes to get certain specific things in order to get victory points for these objective cards, and I just think it is a fantastic game. It plays up to 6 people, and I feel like this one would be a fun one to play with my niece and my nephews, so I'm excited for that. I love the art. I love the little sushi keychain and all the different toys and stuff. It's very, very cute. I really enjoyed that one. We then played a game called Walk and Roll. I think I've chatted about this one before, but it is a Yahtzee style roll and write where you are creating a bunch of different dishes at your restaurant, and the active player gets to roll the dice and then use the icons in different configurations in order to cook different dishes. If you are not the active player, you just don't have access to the 2 red dice. You just have access to the other, I believe 4. So that is Walk and Roll. They do have an expansion called the Korean Wave expansion, which I've considered purchasing time and time again, but it's a little bit too expensive for me over on Board Game Bliss. But I might end up purchasing it at some point because I really enjoy Walk and Roll. It's a very fun game. I love the theme of like the food cooking. But we also played, again, another trick-taking game. We played Aurum, which this is another one that I purchased myself at Gen Con. This is from Pandasaurus Games, and this is a trick-taking game where you cannot play the same suit. Typically in a trick-taking game, you have to play the same suit as the person that started. If you don't have the same suit, you can play something else, but if you have the suit that was played first, you have to play it. But in this one, you have to play something different. So if someone plays a suit, you have to play a different suit. And also, if you play the lowest number in the trick, you actually get that coordinating number in a trump card that you can put into your hand and use at a later time, or you can keep it till the end and get it for points. So I think this is a very interesting take on a trick-taking game. Again, another card game. I've, for some reason, just been loving card games recently. So we played a ton of card games this month. But yes, that was the only other like smaller game. And then for our big game, like I mentioned, we did play another Devere game. Batoku has been one that I've had in the collection for a while. I purchased this from my friendly local game store probably like a year ago-ish. And Francis and I played this once, and then I had not played it ever since then because it's quite a big game. There is a lot going on. I feel like it's not as complicated as some people think. I just think that the board is very busy and there's a lot of different things that you can do. But those different things are not difficult. So I personally love Batoku. There was a point where I played it the one time. It was quite a long time since we had played it, and I'm like, I don't know if I enjoyed this. Like, I might just get rid of it because we're having a hard time getting it to the table. But since Kat, Steph, and I played this, I was like, yeah, I'm keeping this in the collection. I really enjoy Batoku. It is a fantastic game, and I'm happy to have it in the collection, and I'm happy that I did not get rid of it. It's just very scary on the outside, and teaching was actually not that hard. I taught this to both Kat and Steph, and I did fine. So I will definitely be teaching this to more people in the future. So that is Batoku, Devere, again, with the great games. All right, so I know this video is getting pretty long, so apologies, but hopefully I can edit this down to be somewhat short. But this is now moving on to when I went to Nashville last week. We played a ton of games within the last week, or I've played a ton of games within the last week. The first one that I'm going to chat about is the reason why I went to Nashville. I went to the Ivy Games offices and we did some content on Mythic Mischief Volume 2, which huge thank you to Ivy Games for having me out there and for just being so kind and welcoming. And they're just, they're so wonderful. I had the best week/weekend ever, and I played a ton of Mythic Mischief, which I will say right now I discovered that I am really, really bad at abstract games or just games where you have to think pretty quickly. I guess you don't have to think pretty quickly in this. I just thought that I had to think quickly because we were being filmed and I didn't want to have a ton of AP. So a lot of the times in the games that I filmed, I didn't really think too much. And this is the type of game that needs some quick, snappy thinking, and I'm just not good at that. So yes, I am also just not good at abstract games where there's a lot of spatial puzzling and trying to figure out if I do this, then this can go here, and then this will do this. That sort of thing. I'm not very good at visualizing things. So this one is a difficult one for me to play, but I definitely think this is a game that I want to come back to time and time again because I want to get better at this. I want to hone in on the skill that is Mythic Mischief. I got the Mythic Mischief Volume 1 and they also sent this one over, and I'm excited to play both of them more and get better at the stinking game because so many of them there were fantastic at this game. And I want to be like them. So yes, if you guys are interested in hearing more about Mythic Mischief Volume 2, definitely go check out the Ivy Games YouTube channel. They'll have a bunch of content being uploaded there. And also, Mythic Mischief Volume 2 will be launching on September 12th on Kickstarter, I believe. So definitely go and check that out. All right, so speaking about all the games that I played while I was at the Ivy Studios, we played a game called Splitto. We did not play my copy, even though I was considering bringing my copy because I really wanted to play this one because I've heard good things. But we played, I believe it was the Ivy Games got a copy as well, and we played their copy. But this is from 25th Century Games, who did send this copy over, so a huge thank you to them. But basically, this one, again, is like a closed drafting game where you're working with the people beside you, the person on your left and the person on your right. You are working with them in order to gain the most victory points. Whatever your victory points is on your right and victory points on your left, they get multiplied, and then that is your finishing score. So you're trying to balance out the two on either side. There are different colored cards as well as different numbers cards. Then there's also different objective cards. So there's going to be like have the most 4s or have sets of these 3 colors, different things like that. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like point salad, because you have the cards that are going to get you victory points, but then you also have the like objective cards that are actually, no, the cards don't get you victory points, but the objective cards are going to get you victory points based off of the cards, if that makes sense. And yeah, it's a little bit like point salad, but more interaction because you are working not only with yourself, but with the 2 people on one or each side of you. So that is Splitto. Very excited to play this one with the family. 3 to 8 players. I might actually bring this to my parents' house tomorrow. That is Splitto. I will also add that we played a ton of Crokinole while I was traveling, so I'm just gonna put that out there right now. Played a crap ton of Crokinole, and I freaking love Crokinole. And Francis and I now want a Crokinole board, so that's just that. I also did play a few solo games, which I will hold off on those until the end. But we also played a few like group games together. We played Night of the Ninja, which is a very fun social deduction game where you're trying to get your group to win. And I believe it's that your group has to have the 1 left over at the end. So there's the Lotus group and then the other group, which is like the red group. I was only ever on the Lotus group or the Lotus team, so we were always trying to get the 1 Lotus to survive at the end, and you're playing down cards in order to like destroy the different people and try to figure out what everyone is and different things like that. I really enjoyed Night of the Ninja. It's another big group game that I feel like would be really nice to have in the collection, so we played that. And then we also played Monikers. Monikers is very similar to Time's Up, and we played a ton of Monikers, guys, and Monikers is fantastic. Just like Time's Up, it is probably one of my favorite party games, and I just had a blast with that, so we played that as well with the IV Studio gang. And then lastly, we played, I actually played this with Alex, Meg, as well as Grant Lyon. We played Astra, which I freaking love this game, and it's been a while since I've played my own, and I forgot how much I enjoyed this one. It is a little bit of like an area majority or area control game, but you are doing area control on different constellations, and it doesn't feel like area control, and I love the look of this game, love it. It's from Mind Clash Plays, and so good, so good. So that was everything that we played while we were at the IV Studios offices, but we also went then to Arkansas when we had our little cabin weekend, board game weekend with a bunch of friends. I will have the vlog up here if you guys want to go check that out. I did vlog it, and I believe it'll be the video that is up before this one, so definitely go check that out. But we started off that weekend with Decrypto. I've talked about Decrypto a ton. Probably one of my favorite party games as well. I should probably do my favorite party game video at some point because I have discovered a ton of great party games recently. But Decrypto is probably the most thinky party game, but it's still fantastic. You're working in teams to try to decipher the codes of your own team, but then also figure out them from the other team based off of their clues. Very fun. A little bit confusing to teach and explain, but it's a good one. Trust me, you should try it if you haven't already. We also then played quite a few larger games. I had the opportunity to finally play Wonderland War, which is, I knew it was gonna be good, and I really enjoyed it. I don't know if I will ever have it in my collection because I know it's very expensive and it's gorgeous, but I don't know if I'll ever be able to have that in the collection just because of, you know, budget and stuff. But I really enjoyed Wonderland War. I love the drafting of the cards at the tea party and then going into the battles and taking the chips out of your bag and then flipping it over. I was really bad at pushing my luck and I never really stopped at any point. And I feel like I would have done a lot better if I was able to control that. But I just kept on wanting to go and then I kept on busting and it was fine. But it was a good time. I really enjoyed that. I loved how you could unlock different powers and put different chips onto your board to make you stronger in different ways. It was just absolutely fantastic. I played as the Cheshire Cat, and I'm very excited to play that more in the future because my friend Aiden backed it on Kickstarter. Good job, Aiden. I'm pumped. The next day, I ended up playing quite a few other bigger games. The first one was Blood Rage. This is one that I've wanted to try, and I didn't really have a ton of expectations for it because it was a like dudes on a map game, and it is designed by Eric Lang, which I consider him a friend. I've hung out with him a few different times at Daryl's house and he's a really nice guy, but I had never played any of his games before. So I ended up playing Blood Rage and wow. I know now why everyone raves about Blood Rage. It is very good. Like I said, I didn't have a lot of expectations for it because it just didn't seem like my type of game, but I'm starting to, like I said in the past, open myself up to different games and ones that I typically wouldn't go for. And I'm so excited and so happy that I did that because Blood Rage ended up being like one of my favorite games of the weekend. Basically, you're doing some closed drafting again, which is I think one of my favorite mechanisms at this point. I really love closed drafting. And you're getting these different cards that are going to allow you to do different things. Some of them are going to be upgrades for your different people and just for you in general. You also have like different additional strength cards that you can play during battle. You have like monsters that you can play down, different things like that. And then you are putting out different like warriors and your leaders and stuff like that and battling in the different regions. And it doesn't sound like it would be a game that I enjoyed, but it is. And I really enjoyed it. And now I want to play it more. And I just had such a good time with Blood Rage. So that is that. And then after that, we played Vindication, which I think I discussed in my vlog, but I think that is one that is starting to become one of my favorite games of all time. There's something about Vindication that I love. There's a little bit of like set collection with the different cards that you're collecting in different colors. You're trying to collect a bunch of the different colored cards in order to get like the master tokens that get you more victory points. You're moving around your thing to the different like areas and doing different actions at those spots. And I don't know, combining the different cubes to make the different colors, and ooh, it is just so good. I cannot say enough good things about Vindication. If you guys have not played it yet, I definitely recommend at least playing it. I do think that I have my own copy coming on Monday, so that's pretty exciting. It's going to be the most expensive game I've ever purchased, but it's worth it because I love Vindication, so that is that. We also played some more monikers. I think we played like 3 times that weekend. We played monikers. I also played Captain Sonar, which I've talked about quite a few times. It's like a team-based battleship game. Very fun, very stressful. I don't know if I love Captain Sonar. There's just something about like letting down your teammates that just stresses me out. So Captain Sonar's okay, but definitely not my vibe. Then we also played Millie Fiore, which this is one that I've been excited to play. And during that game, I did absolutely horrible. I don't know what it was. Millie Fiore is a pretty straightforward game. Again, it has some close drafting, which I love. You're drafting cards, and then the card that you play is going to be where you can place your little colored tokens, and each different area is going to score in different ways. And for some reason I did absolutely horrible, and I don't know why. Meg did absolutely fantastic and she killed it, but it was very fun. It's very like point salad. You get points in a bunch of different ways based off of where you're placing those chips, and I really enjoyed it. I was just really bad at it. So that is Millie Fiore. And lastly for that night, we did play Tiger and Dragon, which I talked about before. Absolutely love that game, and I think they enjoyed it as well. And then on our way home from Arkansas, we played Fuji Flush in the, is it called Fuji Flush. We played it in the airport. I've talked about Fuji Flush time and time again. Absolutely love that game. Again, one of my favorite card games. I still need to make a card game video for sure. All right, so this video is getting insanely long and I do apologize. And I think a lot of people in the comments have said they're fine with long videos, so hopefully this one's fine with you guys. But I'm gonna quickly go through the last few days of August. The first one, when I got back from Arkansas, my friends Tyler, Aiden, and I had a board game day, and or board game night, it wasn't a whole day, board game night. We played a game called Silk, which is actually the first in the series of Bamboo and Batoku, so it's kind of fitting that I played all 3 of those this month. I really enjoyed all 3 of them. Silk is actually a very fun kind of like area control game, I guess. You're like bumping different things to different tiles, and you're trying to get your silkworms to graze on different tiles to flip them over to gain victory points. and you're trying to keep them away from like the little bad thing. It's like this wolf looking thing, but I really enjoyed that one. It was very cute. It's the most simple in the series for sure, and I don't think I would want it or need it in the collection. I'm really happy that I did play it, but I didn't like love it. We also played this game right here, the Guild of Merchant Explorers, which I played solo last month, and I was excited to play it multiplayer this month. It is very much multiplayer solitaire, but I really enjoy it. The only thing that you have interaction with is whoever gets the objectives first. So that's that, but again, I love this game. I just think it is so satisfying putting down the cubes and exploring out into the different areas. And then Aiden and Tyler also love this a ton, and they both want a copy now. So that is the Guild of Merchant Explorers. And then also we did play Pitch Car, which is a little bit similar to Crokinole, but you're flicking your little like car chips around a track. It's fun, it's a good time. And then speaking of dexterity games, a few days after I got home, Francis and I actually played Catch the Moon. This is from Cosmos, and this was sent over by Cosmos, so a huge thank you to them. This is a fun little dexterity game where you are stacking ladders, and basically you roll a die that is going to tell you whether you need to stack one ladder, you need to stack a ladder touching two ladders, or if you need to stack a ladder that makes it the highest point of the stack. But I had a very good time with this. I'm horrible at it, but it's just fun, light dexterity game if you're looking for one. I also love the aesthetic of the box and just like the stacking of the ladders on the cloud. I think it's fantastic. So that is Catch the Moon. It does play 1 to 6 players too. So you can play this solo, which I think is interesting, and you can play it up to 6 players. So that is Catch the Moon. And then Francis and I live streamed a few days later, Redwood. This is another one that I purchased at Gen Con, and it's all about like animal and nature photography. You are placing your photographer in a specific spot with these little, like, I don't even know what they are, but it's very spatial. You have to choose one of the little things, screen things, to move your meeple, and then you have to pick one for where your like picture is going to be taken. So it's very spatial. You have to pick them, and you can't test them out. You have to pick it, and then that's the one that you have to use. So very spatial, kind of estimating what size of each of them you need, and you are trying to get different animals. You're going to score for having different types of animals, for connecting your different panorama cards, getting different flowers. If you get like the set of 3 flowers, you get more victory points. You get victory points for trees and different things like that. It's a very simple game. You have a bunch of objectives that you're going after, but I really enjoyed it, and I just love the look of it. We did play it on live stream, so it should be up on either the Board Game Garden TV, or it might be just up on Twitch. So that is Redwood. And then on the last day of August, I did have one of the Board Game Gals game nights, and we played another game that I got shortly after I got home from Gen Con. This is Dixit Disney, which I absolutely love Dixit, just the original Dixit we love. And this is the exact same thing. It just has cards that are based off of Disney films, which I think is amazing. I love Disney, and the cards and the art in this is, oh my god, so good. I thought it was going to be a little bit difficult to come up with clues that didn't go straight towards one specific movie and kind of call it out right then and there, but it actually worked out really well. There was a lot of cards that weren't like super movie related and just had a little bit of spark of a specific Disney movie, but didn't, you know, scream just that. So there was definitely a lot of clues that you could make that weren't super movie related, if that makes sense. So that is Dixit. It also comes with the like different Disney characters as meeples. There's like Tinkerbell and Mickey Mouse and the Cheshire Cat and different things like that. I absolutely loved it. But we also played Azul Summer Pavilion, which I think I've discovered that I actually like interaction in games. Honestly, Azul Summer Pavilion, there's not a lot of interaction between players, and it made me a little sad. Just recently, I've been playing a lot of games that have a lot of interaction between you and the other players, and this one we just sat down to play, and everyone was just kind of drafting the tiles, doing their own thing. I still really enjoy the puzzle of this this game, Summer Pavilion, but I don't know. There's something about just like not having anything to do with the other players. I guess there's a little bit with like hate drafting and stuff, but that's pretty much it. I didn't love this as much as I remembered, so that is Azul Summer Pavilion. All right, we're getting close to the end, people. The almost last thing, or actually last thing for multiplayer, is Francis and I finally experienced this game right here. This was actually sent over by Board and Dice, so huge thank you to them. It was sent over in this box, which is crazy, but it was actually for their new exit style games called Side Quest. So these are a new series of games that Board and Dice are coming out with. They have a bunch of different ones. This was just a like prologue, so this one is based off of Nemesis, which I think is very cool. It is the prologue, so it is, I think, a little bit simpler or just like a different one than the actual one that they were releasing, just as like a little test for creators to try out. So Francis and I tried this one out and it was very fun. We had a little bit of a challenge at the beginning trying to figure out how to get started, but once we got started, ooh, it was so much fun, and we've discovered that we want to try out more of these style games. I do think that we want to possibly get the full Nemesis one that they're gonna have available, just so that we can like finish off what we started here, because this is just like a simple or shorter version of it, so I'd love to try that out. But huge thank you to Board and Dice for sending this over. It was very fun. It was also very thematic, where we had to like go through this box and do a few fun things. So that is Side Quest Nemesis. They also do have a few other ones that they're releasing. And finally, I am so sorry if this video, again, is crazy long, but we're going to get quickly into the few games that I played solo. I mentioned that I played a few solo in Nashville. I played 20 Strong, which I did get a little coupon from George. Shout out to George, thank you so much. But he gave me a little coupon to get 20 Strong myself from Chip Theory Games, so I'm gonna go grab that. It is their new, I believe it's solo only, where you are playing with these cards. The cards are gorgeous, they have like foiling on them, but you're playing with these cards and you're trying to go through level by level, defeating monsters by rolling dice in order to defeat the monsters to get different special abilities. You can also pick this other card, and as you go up levels, you have to fight more and more monsters and stronger monsters. Very fun. You are exhausting dice and then getting those dice back, and you have like health, as well as you can like put up how many dice you get back. Very fun. I played it just like a little bit to get a feel for it, and I'm very excited to get that with the coupon and play that more. So that is 20 Strong. And then I also played a button shy game called Ancient Realm, which I don't have a ton of button shy games because they're a little bit expensive to ship to Canada. So it is official that I'm going to PAX Unplugged in December, and you best believe I'm going to purchase Ancient Realm as well as some other button shy games, because they do have a booth there at PAX Unplugged and I'm so excited. But I really enjoyed Ancient Realm. It's a great solo game where you are creating this line of different, I don't really know, there's like buildings and people, and you are like doing a little bit of resource management as well, which is really cool with an 18 card game, doing like resource management and stuff like that. And you're trying to get victory points in different ways based off of the cards that you have in your little row. And I really enjoyed that one. So Ancient Realm is one that I will definitely be grabbing at PAX Unplugged. And then as for other games that I played solo in the month of August, these three were ones that I played on live stream. The first one was Mistwind. I did do a sponsored live stream of Mistwind. That one is actually finishing up on Kickstarter very soon when I'm filming this, so it's probably finished by the time this video goes up. But I really enjoyed Mistwind. It is a pick up and deliver game with some really cool worker placement along the outside and getting different cards, and I really enjoyed that one. I sadly had to like return it or send it to somebody else, so I was really sad that I didn't get a chance to play that multiplayer, but I'm hoping to be able to play it in the future. I also played Cosmoctopus. This is another one that I got at Gen Con. I got a lot of games that I got from Gen Con off the shelf of opportunity, which is awesome. But this was sent to me or gifted to me by Lucky Duck Games, so a huge thank you to them. Shout out to Tim for getting it for me. But this is Cosmoctopus. It is by Henry Audubon, which is the same designer as Parks. And again, it's this really great resource management game where you are walking around this little grid of spaces, gathering different resources in order to pay for different cards that are going to get you different abilities. There's different cards that are going to get you these octopus tentacles, and basically you're trying to get all 8 of the octopus tentacles and summon the great inky one first. I haven't played this multiplayer, but with the solo, you are basically trying to do that before the AI, and the AI smoked me when I did this on live stream, so I'm excited to get this to the table again so I can redeem myself. It's very difficult, and I don't know if I was just playing it wrong, but I overall really enjoyed Cosmoctopus, and I'm excited to get it to the table again. Absolutely love the way it looks, the cards, just the whole feel of Cosmoctopus I absolutely love. The last game that I'm going to chat about is Potions of Azerland, which this is currently up on Kickstarter. I will have the link to it down below. Definitely go check it out. This game is wonderful. I enjoyed playing this game. I did do a live stream of this, a solo live stream of this over on Twitch. I believe the video for this is up on the Board Game Garden TV as well, so I'll put it here. But I enjoyed this one so much. I loved it. Basically, you have this like different or very unique action selection thing where you're putting your priority of what you care about the most to the least, and based off of that, you can do those different actions in different strengths, and you are basically trying to get resources in order to brew potions. And you can either give those potions to people for victory points, or you can drink those potions yourself to get special abilities. You can work on like your skill of those different potions in order to make them stronger and get you different things, and I love it. I love the way it looks. I love the theme of the potion making, and it's just a great game. I feel like it is easy enough to get the table with like not super skilled gamers, but still has enough strategy for gamers that play a little bit more, so definitely go and check it out. I will have it linked down below like I said. But that is everything for today's video, for today's monthly wrap-up. August was insane. Overall, probably the most insane month that I've had in a very long time. I was not expecting within the last 2 months to have traveled so much, but I'm very happy to be home now. September is going to be all about getting caught up on filming and just everything that has to do with the Board Game Garden. I have a ton of fun things scheduled for the last few months of the year. I now have PAX Unplugged to look forward to, so very excited for that. Thank you all so much for hanging around and sticking with me through this month. I know that I've been super busy and I've missed a few uploads here and there, so thank you guys so much. I am losing my voice because I've talked so much tonight, but I appreciate you all so much. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. I am gonna put my top 3 games here. I can't think enough right now to put my top 3, but I will, after I'm finished filming, put my top 3 here so you guys can see what my favorite games of the month was. Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. Also hit that subscribe button down below if you've yet to do so. We'd love to have you here in the garden. Comment down below what your top 3 games of the month were, whether those were multiplayer or solo. I love you guys so much. Remember, you are somebody's reason to smile, and I will see you in the next board game video. Bye, friends.